Now we're going to see if your business is ready for wholesale. Are you really ready? We're going to talk about 14 areas, so you can scratch these down. And at the end, the idea is for you to go back over these 14 areas and see where you need to improve. And let me tell you, even if you never go into wholesale, these 14 steps are really going to help your business. So number one, is your studio set up for production? Do you have a designated place for each step? You know, um, the problem of, let's say, making jewelry and somebody calls you and needs a copy of a catalog page or an invoice, and you have to clear all the jewelry off your one table because that's where you put your laptop too. You can't do that. You can see this studio is just fantastic. She has a place where she cuts her wood, a place where she paints and designs. Her materials so well organized, her lighting is perfect. You may not be able to replicate such a wonderful setup, but it is important to have a designated place for each step. And that does include shipping, because that's an area in wholesale you're really going to need. Number two, do you have a production schedule? Do you have an idea of how long it takes you to make each item? So do you make 4 pair of earrings in an hour? Does it take you 4 weeks to make one pot? And I know you're not making just one pot, but enough to fill your kiln. You have to know that. So when somebody comes into your booth and says, may I get this in 2 weeks? You could look at them and say, well, gee, my calendar's a little full. I could go 4 weeks for you, because you know how long it is really going to take you and what else you have coming up that you have to fill. So try to get a good idea of how long it takes you to make each item. And then, do you have a product line sheet? A line sheet is an actual printed list, and it has each item in your inventory that you're selling wholesale with a photo, a code for that item, and we'll talk more about this, and the wholesale price. So you can give that to the buyer and say, here, this is everything you could order from me. There's a picture. There may be some dimensions. You can add other information, of course, and your own information, your telephone number, your name. But basically, the photo, the item code, and the wholesale price are the basics. Okay, let's move to number 4. Have you conquered packing and shipping? And I can't tell you how important this is. First of all, you should have a shipper. You might have to experiment a little bit. If you're jewelry, you can certainly rely on the United States Post Office. You do have an advantage there with a small box on the whole. However, if you're selling ceramics, heavy, you have to know who your shipper is, how to pack those materials. Do you have all your shipping supplies? Are they organized? And do you know how you're charging the retailer for shipping? Are you saying to him, I will be charging you the exact amount plus $2 for packing materials? Now, you don't do that on jewelry or a silk scarf, because obviously there aren't a whole lot of expensive packing materials. You might use a piece of tissue paper or a plastic bag or something. But if you're doing ceramics or glass, you might have real expenses involved in shipping. And while these are all nice new boxes, you also don't have to use new boxes, okay? A lot of retailers appreciate the recycled efforts by everyone saving our planet. So you can use boxes, but ahead of time get off all the old labels and the coding, and so you know they don't go to the wrong place. Imagine packing all that in one day. When you take a look at that slide, that is hours of work right there. What goes in the box? Do you have everything that you need? Obviously your product goes in the box. Do you have a packing slip? Now, you're probably familiar with this just from your own materials that you've ordered. Um, if you've ordered a glass piece, um, you know that you might have ordered 5 and they show you 5 were shipped. Or maybe they show you that only 3 were shipped and 2 are on back order. So you have to develop something like that for enclosing in your orders so that when your work arrives and the store is putting it into their inventory, they know they ordered 5 and they got 5. It's also useful because sometimes if your items are small, they fall into the bottom of the box. You have a lot of packing materials and the store knows something was missing and they go through all that extra stuff and they find something and they don't have to go out to the dumpster and find it later. So that packing slip is important.